Let me just make sure. Good, okay. Hi, everyone. I was fully expecting to be in a half-empty room because of the weather and because it's late in the afternoon on day 2, so I'm very happy you are all here. A little bit about me. I'm Michelle Martin-Ree. I'm the manager of Decision Support Advanced Analytics at Sunnybrook, and I have with me our lead for Advanced Analytics, Amira Ashraf, and she will be speaking to you about some of the very cool stuff we're doing in a little bit. First, I'm going to blather on a little bit about our journey in decision support. So we have a similar function to most decision support departments in hospitals, which is basically we provide data and insights to leadership, ultimately with the goal of improving patient care. And we want to drive data-driven decision-making, evidence, whatnot. So I'm very excited to talk to you a little bit about our journey. Over the last 30 hours or so, I'd say the seeds of self-doubt creep in, and I'm sitting here thinking, is this a little low level? Maybe this isn't quite sophisticated enough for this group. Because, you know, we are in a hospital, and the reality is we don't have a big budget. We're a mighty team who's managed to compile a lot of data together in a relatively simple way. There are days where I feel like somebody has handed me some duct tape and a fork and said, like, here, go make an advanced analytics program and launch our AI strategy. Great, yeah, we can do that, no problem. That said, I'm hoping some of you in the audience can maybe relate to some of what we have gone through over time. I checked my email this morning, and I was on a thread, and it was the operational director of our Women and Babies program who said to my decision support consultant, listen, I am noticing that despite the fact that we do not have as many babies being born here, our NICU occupancy has shot up. We have high acuity, and I'm having some issues having to use agency staff because of it. Can you please dig around in the data and help me answer that question? And I need that by Friday. So while we are, you know, maybe not quite so sophisticated, we have created a world where absolutely, yes, we can do that, and we can do it for Friday, and it's no problem. And while maybe our Power BI dashboards are going to be obsolete in a couple of years, the reality is for at least the next 2 years until we launch our full HIS, we're implementing Oracle, I still need to be able to answer these questions, these operational questions. I need to be able to help leaders figure out what's going on in their programs, and I need to do it in 48 hours. And it's not really me, it's my amazing team, but the reality is we have built an environment where we can do that. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So way back in, you can see the slides here, you guys can see the slides, yes. Back in the dark ages, you see we have our little caveman. I started my first stint at Sunnybrook in 2015. And at some point in history, somebody told Sunnybrook, hey, each of you individual areas that serves patients, what we want you to do is to go out and find the best system for you. Never mind what everybody else is doing, you find the best system for you. So every different area at Sunnybrook went out and they said, okay, I'm going to get this system for the ED, this system for the OR. I don't actually like any of the inpatient systems that are out there, so we're going to build our own. And we're going to get physicians to do it. And so there's going to be a lot of free text. It's going to be great. So what we are left with, what we had at the time as decision support, was trying to cobble together little bits and pieces of information that would trickle down to us. So we had a little SQL server. We called it DSDW. It was managed by a guy named Patrick, a great guy. Every month he would download the data knackers coded cuts, so it was always a couple months behind, as you guys know. We had maybe a bit of OR data. There were some PDFs. And we would cobble together a monthly reporting structure from all of these bits of data. It was a little bit out of date. It was kind of slow. And our role was really limited to getting together with finance and, like, here's some volumes and length of stay. Does that help explain all of your budgetary discrepancies? Maybe not. So this is us. And we would go through this process every month of pulling together bits of data. There's an analyst or a consultant in the middle with their pen and paper, writing everything down, typing it in. Despite all of this, we had managed to figure out a way to put together some actually really nice-looking Excel sheets. And we would spend 2 or 3 days every month manually compiling 11 different Excel spreadsheets, and they would feed into these what I think are actually not bad looking Excel spreadsheets. And they had a program view and a little graphical view, and you could find some other quality indicators, but always far behind. And like I said, always a little bit outdated, very manual. But what these Excel spreadsheets did was show senior leadership, hey, decision support can give you the data that you want. They can make it look nice. What else can we do? So one thing that happened was Patrick, the dude, he left. He decided to leave Sunnybrook. And he took with him all of the knowledge that it would take every month to complete Decision Support Data Warehouse, or DSDW. So what we decided to do was like, okay, let's build a data warehouse. Let's go to all of these 78 different systems, or however many it is across Sunnybrook, and let's figure out a way to bring it all together. Because ultimately, every person that makes contact with Sunnybrook in some form or another has a chart number. So we can actually follow the patient from an outpatient clinic to the ED 7 times in the last year to 3 inpatient stays. We can do that, theoretically. But we need to basically find a way to bring the data together. So with the engagement of senior leadership and a very strong collaboration with our information management team, who basically were overseeing all of these different data warehouses or databases across the organization, we developed a system where they would stage the data for us, and we could write little ETLs and bring it into the data warehouse. Not little ETLs, they're ETLs. So we can increase our automation a little bit, maybe move away from only being able to bring in data manually once a month that was already coded. So just automating things a little bit more. At the same time, we knew we needed to find, and while our Excel spreadsheets were really pretty, we knew we needed to find a better way to display data. So we settled on Power BI, which is very cool. And we assigned a team to basically just spend all of their time sourcing data and bringing it into the warehouse. So at this point, we were able to start self-serving a little bit more. In the old primitive format, if we wanted to do anything like super complicated, like a regression analysis or correlation, we'd have to export Excel spreadsheets and then upload them into SAS and then do some SAS coding. So now we were creating an environment where that was less necessary. And we had a very rapid growth in available data, which was really cool. So this is my, don't worry, I made this slide. I don't build our reports. Our reports are much nicer. So we could pull together into our, would go into an IAM server. The server would stage the data for us. We'd bring it into what we were calling the SBI, Sunnybrook Business Intelligence Data Warehouse, SBIDW. We still did have some numbers in a PDF and a couple of instances of having to call a unit and say, how many times did you double nurses last week? Great, okay. Type it in. It all gets ingested into the warehouse, though, so we can create a bit more of an automated data flow. And now you can see the analyst or consultant is typing as opposed to writing things out. It's a little better. So what we managed to do is to take what we had been doing in Excel and move it into Power BI. So again, we no longer had 11 different individual spreadsheets that we had to fill in manually and that they would populate one large spreadsheet. It was really an automated process. And they looked, not perfect, but much nicer. Side note, you'll notice the color coding, which is the orange and the blue. So basically, instead of, it adheres to the AODA, the Ontario Disabilities Act, so it's not as contrasting as red and green. So this is the color scheme that we settled on, and we've trained basically all of our staff, senior leadership, operations leaders to understand that blue is good and orange is bad. So today, how it's going, we have a very large number of tables and views in our data warehouse. We have at least 30 different data sources. All of our manual processes pretty much have been replaced with automated sources. So we bring in a whole whack of data now. Anything that maybe was coming in from an outer source that we were going in and downloading, we've probably built some kind of a bot or an automation to bring into the warehouse. There are still a few manual extracts that we need to do, but again, we make it as quick and as simple as possible. If it's something that somebody else gives us, we basically set them up with an email address. They email it to the email address, and it just ingests into the warehouse automatically. We don't have to touch it. For Power BI, whereas before it was really like we were trying to figure out how do we deploy this. We have an agreement with Microsoft whereby we can give out as many licenses to view as we like, so anyone who wants access to our Power BI platform can go ahead and have it. We have no issue with that. We have a corporate space with all of our corporate data in it, and then about 25 or so app spaces, either pertaining to individual programs like Torrey Trauma, Schulich Heart, or quality and patient safety, finance, et cetera, et cetera. Because we are now so kind of visible in the organization, we do have the buy-in from senior leadership. So we are viewed as the data and analytics hub of Sunnybrook. Numbers, business cases do not go out unless we've seen them and approved them. We have annual program reviews of all of our dashboards with each of senior leadership to make sure that they're on target with their organizational priorities, strategic alignment, and to make sure that the indicators we have on their dashboards are still reflective of what those priorities are. So this is a really beautiful current view of what it looks like. You can see we have a whole bunch of different sources. Anything you need to know, pretty much, we are now automating into our data warehouse. So again, while I fully appreciate with the implementation of an HIS that's going to go away, I think we still need it for at least another 2 years, and I don't think the HIS is going to cover everything, so we probably will still need some degree of bringing it together. Just really quickly wanted to show you, this is a snip of our command center. So I've intentionally made it a bit small, trying to keep some secrets, and I've chopped out the last 3 rows, which is HHR, finance, and patient experience. Again, need to keep some of our secrets. But you can see here, each of these is an indicator that we know is important to senior leadership. It is in the offices of all of our senior leadership. It updates hourly. Each of these is it's a Power BI dashboard, so each of those is a tile. You click on it, and it takes you down to whatever report. You can drill down to different timelines, trending, different services, different programs, whatever you need to know. And then just really quickly, a couple of more details. Again, our little picture of our inside of our data warehouse, just because I think it's cool. A program level dashboard. Again, you can see the orange and the green, so they know right away, are we doing well, are we not doing well? I picked a snip of that report because it combines lab data and emergency department data, which again, are 2 completely different systems. And had I told anybody in the organization 5 years ago that we would be able to do this, nobody would have believed me, but we can now put it into the same report. Geography, we do a lot of mapping. We've built, actually Amira and another one of our colleagues built a tool where nurses who are going out into the community to treat patients can actually type in addresses into the tool, and it will help plot out a route that is allows them to travel less. So I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Amira, who's going to tell you a bunch of really cool stuff about the more advanced work that we're doing.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm just gonna, okay, it works. So we've just heard a lot about how having the centralized data system has helped Sunnybrook implement analytics and reporting for all our programs. We're gonna take a look at how that same centralized database is a key enabler for our machine learning pipeline. It's really cool how we've put this duct tape to use, but the centralized database really serves as our single data source for extracting all the data that we need to build and train our machine learning models. So the technical setup is such that we'll extract the data from the data warehouse using SQL, bring that into Visual Studio Code. We build and train our models in Python, and we deploy them in VS Code as well. And all that is orchestrated automatically at specific frequencies throughout the day using the Windows Task Scheduler. So that is really cool. And then each time the model runs, it generates like prediction values in a CSV file. We have a BI team who schedules ETLs for us to then bring that CSV file back into the data warehouse. So essentially, we're using the same data warehouse not just as a source for raw data and to bring like input variables into the model, but we're also bringing like the outputs of our machine learning models back into that same data warehouse. And from then on, we use the Power BI as like our main consumption layer. So we will build our predictive analytics and visualizations into the Power BI platform. Is already widely used across different roles at Sunnybrook. So it becomes the ideal place for us to share these predictions and for the end users to kind of adopt them into their workflows. So overall, the strengths are really the kind of pipeline that we have is simple, it's cost effective because the technology and tools that we're currently using kind of like already exist in our environments. The Windows Task Scheduler, VS Code, and we have the advantage of that of the data warehouse. We don't really need a lot of capital to like build this infrastructure and deploy it, or even like the maintenance part. Like we don't need specialized teams and different roles to maintain it. Another very strong advantage is like all the data is stored within our local systems. So we kind of navigate away from like the legal and privacy pieces of that. But in spite of this lightweight setup, we're still able to deliver predictive insights in a really timely manner to our teams. So we've used this to build a few predictive models for our emergency department. So I'll just share a few success stories here. The first one is our wait time predictions for our emergency department. This is the physician assessment times. So we have a machine learning model that runs exactly along the pipeline that I've just shared. And then the wait times that we're projecting are displayed both within the Power BI environment, and they're also actually available to patients on the web. And so before someone makes their way to the ED, if they log into sunnybrook.ca/wait, they'll be able to see what the wait times are if they were to walk into the ED at this moment. And this model is really in line with a lot of our strategic priorities for the hospital, one of the main ones being like patient experience. It enables patients to kind of plan their day and go from there. And then the pipeline enables real-time prediction. So these, in spite of like the elaborated pipeline that we have, this refreshes every 15 minutes. So the data is like staged, brought in, prediction model runs, everything shows up in Power BI every 15 minutes. It's really cool because it rapidly reflects any changing scenarios in the ED. So if we had an influx of more patients and things have changed, our predictions will be able to reflect that in real time. And then the accessibility piece, having it on the web for like patients, and then also in the Power BI environment for our ED team to like refer to and plan their day and resources around that has been really crucial in kind of realizing the impact and value of such a predictive model. In addition to the wait time model, we have an entire like a suite of predictive models that we've built for the ED using the same kind of machine learning pipeline. We have, it's kind of like full scope, so we provide forecasts around daily visits, ED admissions, what to expect in terms of no bed admits for the next day, and then also a forecast for inpatient discharges. So having this entire package live in Power BI kind of helps the ED with the main pieces of information that they need to know for like planning the next 24 hours in terms of capacity and resources and prevent high-risk overcrowding situations in the ED. And of course, as you've seen, like our data warehouse, we have like a really robust pipeline to bring in the data, but having these predictions accessible is really what's important to making sure like they're used. And so utilizing that Power BI platform and leveraging it makes sure that users are able to integrate that into their daily workflows. Another thing that we've worked really closely with our clinical teams is understanding like how they would integrate this in their workflows, and when is this information most important to them. And what I mean by that is, if we're going to predict no bed admits at like 12 p.m., it might not be the ideal time for critical decision making. So we worked with them to understand when exactly it is most helpful for them to have these predictions. And then we kind of reverse engineer our scheduling and our pipeline to make sure these data points are available to the teams when they need it most. So for a dashboard, like the one that's here, this is ideally refreshed by like 7 a.m. in the morning, so it's available for any critical decisions at 8 a.m. And that brings us to the end of our presentation.
I do have just a couple of points because I was talking so fast, I glanced over them. Just a couple of things around when we were bringing data into the warehouse. Early on, because there were so many different databases, there's database administrators for each one. So in order to ensure that we weren't just sort of like randomly bringing stuff in and displaying it and it didn't make any sense, we'd work very closely with each of the database administrators and the program kind of subject matter experts to ensure that we were bringing in the right data elements, that anything we calculated, displayed, downloaded made sense to them and was correct. So we're making sure that like kind of the data validity, quality, reliability is there. The other piece that I wanted to address was around Power BI. So again, we have upwards of about 1,500 people, probably more than that, who have Power BI licenses throughout the organization. And in order to ensure people understand how to use it, we do kind of intro to Power BI type sessions every now and then. We've done a couple of intermediate and advanced sessions as well, just to offer a little bit of education, similar to what Amal was talking about, not quite as advanced. But we do offer the opportunity for people to kind of learn about the platform and how to interact with it. And I think that is all I wanted to say.
We have time for questions. Whose hand went up first? I think yours went up first.
Hello, Andrew
So the
from
gentleman with the
Stryker.
microphone.
Yes. My question is related to losing Patrick. It
So,
doesn't sound
sorry, what?
like losing Patrick.
Losing Patrick.
Oh, losing Patrick. Oh. Okay. Too soon. All right.
Too soon. Sorry. So it sounds like ETL wasn't a skill that was necessarily available with the rest of the team. What was that process for you like in terms of timeline and getting the analysts up to speed and ingesting that data into the database, or into the data warehouse, sorry?
Very good question. So at the time, we were comprised of decision support, which was, it was all decision support. We were program level support and performance management and reporting, who handled more of like the kind of corporate or outside stuff. And then we had, and what we did was kind of merge those into one decision support and then hire a couple of people who had knowledge of, how to bring data into a data warehouse. We actually, to my Kai-Hi table over there, stole someone from Kai-Hi, Laura Ma, who came in and actually helped us build up the warehouse a lot. And we actually had a contractor who came in for a year who I ended up hiring permanently because he was so good at it. So, yeah, like we did hire in to fulfill that gap, yes.
Hi. Oh, thank you very much for your presentation. Just one of the questions I had is how far, or if you were to look ahead, let's say in the next year or 2 years, how far ahead do you think that you could schedule any of the predictive analytic tools that show up on the dashboard to maybe drive insights from the day before or maybe even the week before? How likely do you see that moving forward, or would it be always with respect to time in terms of how often each thing is being updated?
Thanks so much for your question. The prediction interval, or like how far out we predict, depends on the model that we're building. So I can give an example for the ones that we currently have online. Our visits model, we predict 14 days out, but we let the teams know that it's most accurate for the next 3 days. And the predictions run multiple times, so as you get closer to the day of, that's when you'll have the most reliable prediction. For ED no bed admits, we only predict 1 day out, so it's just the next morning. Similar for discharges. So depending on the use case, the reliability of the data, and the accuracy of the model that we're able to build, that interval is variable. Thank you.
Just a question on your executive dashboard that's in every executive's office on the monitoring screen. Just interested to know if there's any lessons learned with that. I know where we are, when an executive sees something that is, let's say, not expected, it can cause some interesting times. So I'm just wondering if, like, I know you mentioned you've got data quality built in and stuff, but are there any lessons learned that you could share there?
It's tough to say. Yeah, like there's always lessons to be learned, I guess. I mean, I would never say that the lesson is don't show it to executives. Like, that's not a good lesson. I would say probably, so for instance, we recently deployed a bunch of indicators, and we realized that we had built it off of a report that had row-level security built in. So it turned out we put it on this dashboard that was supposed to face people, but like nobody could see it. Like, it just showed up blank. So I would be like maybe just double checking in on stuff like that, because that kind of thing frustrates senior leadership if like they have a blank tile. Sometimes tiles go down and they know that it's a function of technology. Like, we've all lived it. Things just don't work some days, and you go in and you fix it, and then it works and it's okay. And you hope you fix it before anybody notices. But yeah, like for us, it's really, we don't wait for things to be perfect. We work with it when it's good enough. So the downside to that is sometimes stuff doesn't work or isn't as good as it could be, but we, learn from it, build it in, and just go from there.
There's a question online. Is this knowledge shared with other hospitals who might be interested in building their own support flow, et cetera, regarding predictive models?
We are generally happy, I think, to chat with people about kind of what works for us. As you know, we are in a unique situation that probably has a bit of a time clock on it, because we do have the HIS coming in, and we are engaging in a lot of AI readiness type activities. But yeah, if we can be of help and our knowledge can be helpful, then yeah, sure.
So there's a hand there in the corner, or you've got the microphone. Go ahead.
Yeah, the ED wait time tool was pretty cool. So I had a question on that. So I know that's patient facing, right? Like, as ED wait time. So as a team, like, do you have like a dedicated person who's round the clock for monitoring that tool?
So that actually alternates in the executive's office with the dashboard. So it's dashboard, time clock, different other dashboard that they might want to see. So yeah, if something goes wrong with it, again, we find out very quickly. Usually, yeah, somebody goes in and checks it. It is a very good point, though, that we know, like, I don't have somebody whose job it is to go in and check and make sure it's working okay. But again, we don't have a dedicated person. Like I said, if it doesn't work, I find out very quickly.
It sounds like you did more than just a duct tape and...
Duct tape and some forks,
Yeah.
MacGyver.
Can I just add to Michelle's response? So we have, the execs are looking at this clock all the time to monitor like the ED scenarios. But from our team's end, we review the model's performance every quarter, and we retrain accordingly. So if an X percentile is like beyond target, then we will retrain the model and look into additional features to add. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.